So, wanting to get into a new army, I did what I usually do. Went to eBay and looked for a few rescue lots that were in terrible condition. You tend to find folks who started a project and then got in over their heads. A lot of models often pre-assembled, which is awesome for me because I really don't enjoy that part, especially for an army that's not going to be my main. This one actually came with some things new in box and on sprue. That's cool. And it was really well wrapped. Look at all this bubble wrap. That's uncommon. Some of the lots I've bought have been just literally thrown in a box. Everything required repair. So this was above and beyond, and I thank the seller, whoever that is. You also tend to get this. It's happened to me several times buying these eBay rescues. People throw in a bag of all their leftover bits that have nothing to do with the army. Or maybe they have something to do with it, but the point is they're not going to use it ever again. It wasn't advertised as part of the listing, but they throw it in. This guy was pre-assembled. That's cool. All the troops had been grouped into 10s, which was nice, but you can see even the skin colors are different. It looks like they were really experimenting here, trying to find their scheme and never found it. Also, I can see some gloss, not a great sign. It usually means that's testers. It's going to be a pain to get off, if I can at all. So, after unboxing everything, I tried to get some semblance of order. I've got everything laid out by weapon loadout, then all the extra bits here on the side. This is a smorgasbord of orc and non-orc bits. Although, aren't all non-orc bits also orc bits? That's philosophy for you. So everything that was unassembled, obviously I went about assembling. Yeah, these really are great models. Say what you want about Games Workshop, but I still believe that they make the best models in the world. You get what you pay for. All these mini helicopter bodies were included, but there weren't enough propellers. A bunch were missing or broken, but it occurred to me that it'd be very orcish to only have 3 or 2 or even 1 propeller, so I divvied them up somewhat evenly so that I could use all of those copter bodies and get more models out of this. Look at this guy. He is missing his back, which includes the right arm, I think? I don't know that much about orcs. But I did not let that stop me. I'll go to all those extra bits and find a tank or something that I can stick on the back to fill in that bulk. Also, even though his arms are bigger than a mega knob, or whatever the larger infantry is, I'm still learning all this. I think if I throw enough distractions on here, it won't be obvious that his right arm is smaller than his left. And I know this is typically where scratch workers might use green stuff. I don't like clay. I don't like sculpting of any kind. I have tried it. I am terrible at it. It is not fun for me. No green stuff. Look at this one. He tried red skin. It's interesting. Now here's another HQ model, and it's sort of caked in with some paints. I'm going to use my personal favorite, Purple Power Concentrated. I don't water it down. I fill a mug with it or a cup or something and submerge the model in it for 24 hours. This stuff is the best that I've found for plastic models. It doesn't harm plastic. For metal, I use acetone when I'm stripping. This rig came incomplete, and some of the turret pieces were missing. I couldn't find them anywhere in the lot, but I can solve that with a little bit of scratch bashing. Cardboard and plastic card and mesh and stuff like that. Here's a couple of huge weapon pieces. Stick those together and mount it on the rig. I was missing a few bases, particularly in the biker regiments. So I measured the ones I did have, modeled some up in 3ds Max, and 3D printed them. Hey, it's the next day, so let's go check on that submerged model. I use a toothbrush under some hot water to slough off all the paint that's been stripped. And here's the result. It's not great. Must have been a very strong primer, but it's gonna look way better than it would if I had just base coated right over it later. Here's that war rig. You can see a little bit of graphics medium chipboard in there, and some non-standard weapons to be sure. Couple of trucks. This one was missing its front wheels, but whoever sent this to me included the wheels from some other kit. I don't know if it was Snap-Tight or some car model kit. I salvaged those and used those as front wheels. Was also missing one of those side panels, so I substituted something else in and just kept attaching stuff. Super fun. Here again is everything laid out, built, and rehabilitated mechanically, and here it is primed. Yes. Once again, I was missing some of those copter bases, so I measured, modeled, and 3D printed, and the clear posts I just used clear drink stirring sticks like you get from the party supply store. Rust-Oleum 2X Flat Gray Primer, the best spray paint on earth. This is about the point in these massive eBay rescues where I start to get really excited. Everything's been unified and it feels less hopeless. I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I can picture the finished army now. Yeah, man, always see it through to primer. Once again, Rust-Oleum 2X Flat Gray Primer is what I used. I love that stuff. It is beautifully flat, smooth, and very hardy after a good 24-hour cure time. And it's like $5 a can. Cannot recommend it highly enough. Next, I experimented with a few greens and a few washes over those greens to figure out what skin tone I would like. I decided I wasn't really into the fluorescent approach of the sort of the more classic look, nor did I like a dark forest green. I want more like a muted, gritty, army type of green. So I'll show you that later on. Now, painting all infantry models got the same approach. First, a base coat with khaki, applied with an airbrush. Airbrush invaluable when you're painting about 300 models. Absolutely crucial for speed. Then, either the pants or the shirt gets painted with a dark brown, in this case I did the pants, and then the boots get painted black. Simple 3-color formula. For the skin, I settled on Death World Forest. And you know what? I went with one thick coat because it's fine. I am clearly not trying to impress anybody or win awards here. This is a speed-painted house army for guests. To shade the skin, I used a Athonian camo shade. This gave me a green that was decidedly still a rich green, but nice and muted without feeling too desaturated. Weapons all got a base coat of gunmetal, lead belcher, whatever you want to use. Some sort of gunmetal. Again, one thick coat. Then I shade the whole model except for the skin with Agrax Earthshade. Now, this is how I did the first few models to sort of get a handle for my color scheme, and then I started taking shortcuts to get through mass production. First of all, for the base coat, I bought myself a khaki spray paint and hit them with that. That way, I did about 200 models base coats in 15 seconds. Common sense there, right? Then I chose the clothing feature and gave it the dark brown, and painted the boots in black. Weapons, again, gunmetal, applied with a brush. And now these simple base colors are done, one thick coat for each of them, given a good hour to make sure it's truly dry, and then the dip. I mixed up a grungy homemade shade, and a lot of it. Actually, this is the Midwinter Minis recipe, followed to a T. It's awesome stuff, but you should know it does not perform like Agrax Earthshade. It's got more legs to it, it's got a little bit of grit, it has a slightly shiny finish, and it's not quite as brown. I don't know if I would use it on a model in lieu of Agrax Earthshade, but for this project, oh, it is perfect. Especially because I need like a pint of it. So a couple hours after the dunk, that's done. And now, lastly, I paint the skin. Base coat with the Death World Forest, and then shade with Athonian camo shade. So with those shortcuts implemented and changing the order of things, that's how I was able to do these, 250 models in about a week, with a few hours a day of work. As for all my vehicles, I unfortunately did not film all of that, but the approach is the same. I apply the base coat with the airbrush, nice and smooth. Weapons get a base coat with gunmetal. The whole model gets shaded with that grungy Midwinter Mini mix. And then, unlike the infantry models, I dry brushed with the shimmering silver, or the metallic silver. Catches all those sharp edges, gets all the rivets for you, and places where you make a mistake and dry brush a little too hard, well, that's just a spot where the paint has scraped away. It looks great. So vehicles went very quickly. Actually, they went much quicker than the infantry, even. Spray on the base coat, metallize the weapons and the accessories, shade the whole model, dry brush it with metallic silver. Done and done. Now, I did feature this entire completed army in its own parade video a couple weeks ago for Orktober of 2021. I'll put a card on the screen for that. And I will have one more Ork video for you this month to close it out. It is how to speed build an entire Ork city's worth of terrain in about 8 hours. So, till next time, thank you for watching. I'm Wylock, make things and play games.